We are live. How's it going, everyone? This is Kaiju Addict, your host, doing a surprise bonus stream. We're going to be talking about -1 today, but before we get into that, just going to call out the banner below me, and I'm watching the comments too. Absolutely, we're not talking about spoilers. No spoilers at all. Nothing about leaks, nothing about the premiere, nothing. I will ban people if I see it. Just being courteous to everyone else that doesn't want to know. But even more special, we have a brand new guest on the channel, Jacob. Oop, other way. Why don't you introduce yourself, buddy?
Hey, what's up? My name's Jacob. I am the editor-in-chief and the owner-operator of KaijuUnited.com. So if you have seen the past 6 months, we have done news, interviews, articles, you name it, just giving back to the community and making a cool place for the community to access stuff and contribute stuff if they feel like writing or making art or anything like that. So it's been a wild ride. It's been really fun.
It's been awesome watching the growth, man. It's been so much fun watching you guys at conventions, especially you, because I've met Jacob. We really talked to this G-Fest, but we've probably bumped into each other a lot over the last few years for sure. But it's been so much fun watching that. The articles are just so they're interesting to read. And oh god, brain froze right there. It's so much fun reading your articles, and it's I can't wait to see where you guys are going. I really am excited. You guys are doing amazing things for the community. And now we're talking about -1. I cannot wait for -1 coverage. I cannot wait, man. Cannot wait. Cannot wait to read that review. The review I'm so excited for.
Yeah, and before the movie comes out, not to self-plug a little bit before we talk about -1, but one of our writers, Elijah Thomas, did a really great piece on the director of -1, Takashi Yamazaki. There's no spoilers in it. It just talks about his the movies he made before -1. So just a rundown of all the other stuff he's directed, because he's very prolific. He's done way more stuff, and he just happened to finally, I guess, realize his vision for Godzilla to full fruition. Because, I mean, he's had this design for like 20 years, right?
Yep, 20 years back. It was after GMK for sure.
Yeah,
that's the design
I think
that started it.
He used that for like the first 3D model for Always Sunset, right?
Yep. And that was 2007, or
oh my gosh,
2008 or 9. It's just always the beginnings of YouTube. That's about when that came out, because that was the big thing.
That Everyone was the clip. Like when there was no Godzilla films in between Final Wars and 14, there was that one clip from Always Sunset, and we were like, "Oh, look at that! There's something."
Just got sent down nostalgia road. Oh my goodness! I'm gonna have to go back and just watch the intro, because oh my goodness, such a good time. But yeah, so that kind of leads us into -1. You know, this design's been in the furnace. It's been cooking like whiskey, taking a long time. And that's okay, because the ride design, how did you feel about the ride design?
I really like the ride design. At first, I mean, I liked -1 from the get-go. I wasn't in agreement a lot with some of the people that just said it was ride design, because it's just like an upgraded ride. I could see it now, but it's not the same.
No.
But I mean, I kind of like the spines on ride a little more. The huge, jaggedy, big spine on Minus is so different.
Yes.
But I mean, in terms of -1's design, I guess we'll get into that later because we're talking about the ride. I like all the ride designs. Like, I think the ride Ghidorah looks spectacular. Why there isn't a Bandai of that, I don't know.
Or a good Bandai of Ghidorah, yeah.
Oh, maybe there is a ride Ghidorah Bandai. That's right.
Yep.
I forgot.
It's
Rodan.
Check out my review on my channel. I really, really, really do not talk nice about that figure. But there isn't
I mean,
a Rodan.
I forgot it was a thing. I was like, they made Shin Ghidorah, and I have that figure, but I forgot
Yep.
about Ride Ghidorah.
Yep. There's a Ride Ghidorah that the sculpt itself is good, the paint and some other things bad, and then there's nothing for Rodan. Rodan gets no love.
I
And I
don't
watch.
remember what he looks like in the ride. I'll have to watch the ride again.
It's like, how to put it. So it's like the MonsterVerse plus just like multiple flying dinosaurs put together. It's really nice. I do like it. He's got more devil hooks on the back of its head compared to the MonsterVerse. It's interesting.
Huh, that's right. Yeah,
Yep.
with the ride Godzilla, I think it's solid. I think it's a
Mhm.
really nice modern Godzilla. It's kind of a more and this is what people were saying about Minus as well. It's more of a familiar Godzilla kind of
Mhm.
silhouette,
Yeah.
where Shin was like this and like big chicken legs. Yeah,
Yeah.
this ride Godzilla was, just a modernized classic Godzilla. He moved, like a pretty standard Godzilla. And there's
Mhm.
nothing wrong with that. Like it's kind
Yeah.
of like we get the really radical reinvention with Shin, and then we just kind of go back and we swing this way on the pendulum, if that makes sense.
Oh yeah. No, that's the perfect way of wording it because it does. I mean, obviously we don't know what's going on with the film. We do know it's post-war Japan. It's before 54. It does almost feel like kind of a reset. Kind of.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see when the movie comes out, and then I'm sure how well the movie does will determine things.
Yeah.
So, but it is a really it's a very welcomed. It's welcomed for me for sure. Everyone knows I love Shin. Shin's my favorite, which is so weird because when I heard about Shin before it came out, I was not that excited, and then seeing it, it became my favorite. But it just does feel like we're going into a more classic feel. Maybe maybe Heisei, a little bit of Heisei and Millennium's kind of the vibe I'm kind of getting.
Yeah, definitely.
Except it's the 40s.
It's like Millennium spines in a way, but like
Hmm.
kind of the shape of High C, like especially the face. But it's
Yeah,
also
yeah.
got like I see a little bit of MonsterVerse in that face. I don't know if it's just me. Maybe I'm just like reaching there, but especially in the background image you have up right now, just a little teeny bit. Like the face is the snout's a little bit longer, like the MonsterVerse, rather than the Heisei kind of being a little more tucked in.
Hmm. You know,
I don't know.
I think subconsciously I put it together, but now that you're like saying it, because I don't think I've ever heard someone really say that quite yet, but it is true. There is a lot of legendary, I think, in it, and I mean even the trailer, or one of the trailers, I'll say, and we'll get into that in a little bit here. It does have some very MonsterVerse, especially 2014-esque moments, but I do see it, and I think and people are probably going to scar me for this, but it's because CGI lets Godzilla um emote, but not fully emote. Like we know that Toho doesn't want Godzilla like making clear expressions, even though in Godzilla versus Kong there is a smile in there. Sneaky buggers. There's that slight smile after he burns Kong's shoulder with the atomic breath, but I think it's because it's CGI and it's not a suit, so it's not animatronic. It just really there's personality in it. Like Jacob, like you said, the photo I'm using as the background, there's a whole shit ton of personality in that. It's the eyes. I think really what does it
Mm-hmm.
for me is his eyes. His eyes just say a lot, and I think Legendary Godzilla's has a really. I'm looking at the gigantic, so if you see me looking down, that's what I'm looking at. Um, Both of them just have really descriptive eyes. Like Legendary's Godzilla in 2014 is really just like somber, like gentle giant. when he's
Yeah.
not fighting, and then that kind of changes, and
This
then
one's just aggression.
yeah,
That's what
it
I get wrath. That's like if I were to sum up -one's design and even just the actions that he takes within this trailer and a couple of the officially released TV spots and stuff, it's
yeah,
just aggression, wrath, um,
hmm
just vicious. I guess
hateful,
there's three
man.
words for you.
Yeah, vicious, hateful, wrath. Yeah, I think that's the best way to put it. He We don't really know what's going on here. We do have one of the taglines from the main trailer, or the first main trailer, since we kind of got like a mini one just right after this premiere. Which we'll talk about that scene. I kind of wish I would have grabbed a photo from that scene because I there's the one scene in that trailer, but we'll get to that.
I do have one more thing about the
Oh,
design
yeah,
before
yeah,
we
yeah,
segue.
yeah.
If you look at the CG model, the texturing, like the
hmm
scales on Godzilla, look like they went through and designed all the scales to be its
hmm
own thing. So Godzilla just kind of looks. I guess otherworldly is the word I'll use right now, but I'll think something else. It doesn't look like Godzilla would actually exist in this world. Like it's just a completely
mm
its own thing. Like they didn't just grab alligator scales and put it on the CG model. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Looking at you, legendary. Not that it's a bad thing; it works for that design, but I do
Yeah,
agree. Like
because
this,
with that one they
it
were
doesn't
going
look of
for like an
nature.
animal, but this isn't an animal. This is Godzilla.
Yeah, and that before I kind of mention the design a little bit because I haven't talked about it too much. I really love the way that you actually put that because it does. I think it's going to be one of the themes. It doesn't seem natural and it doesn't feel like it should be there, which is kind of what the trailers are kind of leading us to suspect. There's the main tagline: "This creature's never going to forgive us." We don't know what that means yet, but he's hateful, he's angry, he doesn't look like he should be, he doesn't look like he should exist, which really fits the 54 vibe. I think it doesn't pull the magic out of the bottle, but I think it grabs the bottle and it shakes it a little bit and gets a little bit of extra sparkle on that. I
Yep.
think they're doing I'm hoping this is as close to 54 as we can get to 54 without being 54. That's a lot of 54s, but you guys get what I mean. It's not 54. It'll never be 54. Nothing will ever be 54. But if there's going to be a movie that's as close to 54, that's not right now. -one, I think, takes a spot, and then Shin is up there too. There's a few movies, but we're not talking about the other movies. I'm not gonna let
Talking
myself
about
get
this one.
distracted. We're talking
Oh,
about. Ooh, we good? Oh,
we're good.
you buffered for a second. That's okay. We're
Oh,
all good. We've got 2 people watching, by the way. Thank you guys for watching.
thank you.
Comment, yes, comment down below. Let me know who's here. Let me know who's here. I've got the iPad down here. It's charging. So the ride design, I loved. I loved when we first saw it, especially. I don't know what it was about the Bandai that really like grabbed me, but I at that time that was my heyday in Bandai. That's when I had the money. I was selling Dragon Ball stuff to buy Godzilla stuff, so I was just grabbing, Bandai's, and then that ride Godzilla and Ghidorah trash got showed off, and I remember just being like blown away with how good that sculpt is, and it's one of the figures that I'm 100% gonna rebuy, maybe, probably.
I'm really happy it ended up on the Godzilla store because I missed out on that initial drop.
Yeah,
And the secondary market was not very nice to that figure. I will just say that. We're not going to dive into that.
yeah.
So seeing that ride design available again, I'm very happy for people like me that did not get to get it
Mhm.
because I think that figure is just like a companion figure to the -one. It's going to be right next to the -one figure on your shelf.
Yep. And that's the super cool thing that I've seen like some discussions on. A lot of people are saying, why get the -one if you have the ride, or vice versa. I really, really do think, and there's a few people like Matt, Kaiju Fanatic. He posted photos of the -1 when he got his, and we got other, other collectors who got the -1 figures. And it was at that point I was like, I don't want to collect Bandai anymore. Almost sold all of them. Those are two I'm considering bringing back into the collection. Just they look good next to each other.
Yeah, they're nice companion pieces.
Yep.
I think they're different enough. Like, I mean, what's another good way to put it? I would say like 89 and 91 are very similar looking, but they're different suits.
Yep.
I would say that Ride and Minus are a little more different than that, but I mean it's kind of a fair comparison, I guess, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And the bottom line is, because I was once this guy, and now I'm not. If you're a Bandai collector and you need every Godzilla incarnation, you're gonna have to buy them both anyways. Sorry, the Ride is official Godzilla canon. Toho used it, and then we got this guy now. But I don't think the Ride will go away. We know, well, I thought I read that the Ride, the movie itself, the 4D experience, is supposed to come back during this Godzilla Day celebration. That I'm not, don't quote me on that, but I thought I read from a few different places that it's supposed to come back for a few days to help celebrate the film. So, take that as a grain of salt. Yeah, that would be cool. Which, I mean, the Shin, or not Shin, but the Ultraman Ride also looks great too. So, but let me compact myself back. Jacob's staying in line, but I'm doing what I always do with my live streams, and I just have too much fun and I start going everywhere. I love the Ride design. I love it. I do. When I saw it, I loved it. When I saw this guy, though, -1, it was like seeing Shin again.
But yeah, it kind of was.
It especially like, so kind of like I said earlier, once we kind of knew what was going on with Shin, we knew it wasn't a versus film. I was young at the time. I wanted just monster and monster fighting. That's all I cared about. Didn't really care about the plot or the human characters as much. But once I saw it, and once I saw the model in action, it fell in love. But now as an adult, I'm already past that point. I don't need monster action. And the -1 design, I don't know what it was, but it hit me the same way when we first got the shadowed version of the red poster for Shin. Like, I was awestruck. I was like, this isn't real.
Weren't we all on the call, that one call when the trailer dropped? Like, I was there, you were there, Adam was there.
Yeah, we had a few people. We watched the trailer together on drop hour, and it was a wild experience. It was crazy. Some of us were watching it from our phone, some of us were watching it from the TV. I was doing both because I was able to use the iPad as my Discord hub, and it was wild. It's so good, and that kind of helps us move forward into the official Toho promotional, trailers and teasers that we've gotten so far. The first real trailer the first real footage we got of the film was that 15-20 seconds of the initial footage. Was it a little bit more? Was it 40 seconds? Because we didn't get the trailer first.
I can't remember.
I just remember it was the short because the last scene in it was Godzilla growling and biting the train.
That's right. Yeah, we got that short teaser. That's right.
Yeah. And that's what came from that celebration, because that was the countdown. It was just that 15, it was maybe 30-40 second teaser trailer. And there was just like, you could just tell this Godzilla's not gonna be like the rest.
Not a very nice guy.
I don't. The comparison that's going to happen, if it hasn't already, I haven't seen a lot of us talking about it, but I think a lot of people are going to bring up GMK and this Godzilla for being some of the most like legitimately aggressive and evil, and I think -1 is gonna take it.
Yeah, I mean, in that TV spot, he's just chasing the boat. You see his head like in the water. I'm like, that is
That
the craziest
that's the
shot.
scene. That's the last. That's the big scene from this last teaser we got, and that scene just goosebumps. Immediate. I'm already goosebumps just thinking about it because it is so cool. Such a cool just idea for a scene, and the fact that it really helps that Godzilla is only 50 meters in
That's
this.
exactly what I was about to say. I was gonna be like, back to the design.
Yep, back to the design. This Godzilla is only supposed to be. They gave an exact, but it's the Showa scale, the 50-meter scale, which makes absolute sense. It works with everything. I'm good with it. I don't need my Godzilla trying to one up the legendary one, and we know we're probably not going to get anything bigger than Earth. So there's no point. But I love the 50-meter, and it makes scenes like that possible. And just the other scenes throughout the teasers and trailers we've gotten of Godzilla chasing people or sideswiping through streets with his tail or just him. It's how he,
like biting a train, and he,
yeah,
he's not as big as legendary, so he's not gonna just swallow the train. He has to like chomp on it, pick it up.
which is going to be an excellent callback to 54. Well, it already is a callback to 54, but it's so cool to see, and others too. I mean, he's bit boats, tree trunks. He's done multiple things, but it is just
Bro
super
just doesn't
super
like
cool.
trains.
He doesn't. I don't blame him. Especially trains back then, noisy as hell. But the way he looks in the environment that they have him in, it's really cool. We're also getting daytime as well. Like daytime seems to be most of this. I'm in love with it.
Yeah, and it's really impressive visual effects because I don't know if everyone saw this, but in the trailers, it says written, directed, and VFX by Takashi Yamazaki. So he is pretty much. I mean, I'm sure he's got other guys doing it with him, but he's pretty much doing the effects. He wrote it and he directed it. He's kind of in charge of the whole thing.
Yeah.
So to carry that balance on even just like a filmmaking level is super impressive.
Yeah, no, it's a lot, and you can tell it's being done with a lot of love because Godzilla, like especially some of the newer shots we got with the boat scene where it's like out and Godzilla, like I never thought a scene of Godzilla just turning, but not like looking at the camera or looking at something else. He literally just looks like he's stomping through a city, and he just turns really quick. I never thought I'd just be taken back by how good -1 looks just on the screen moving. He's very fluid. He's Godzilla. He moves like he almost moves like a man in a suit. Almost. There's some too quick motions he makes, but I think that's kind of what they're going for a little bit. If you could do everything in the suit.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah.
Like when he kind of just his tail side swipes the street and stuff, you can kind of get that classic movement that's kind of like this. Yeah. But when he's like going like that and biting the train and stuff, you're like, whoa, that's not a dude in a suit,
Yeah, yeah. But it doesn't it's not jarring, at least not yet. I mean, we can't make full reviews and assumptions and feelings just off the trailer. But as of right now, what I've seen in the trailer, I'm not seeing the really man in the suit shots and movement next to the legendary movement. It's not jarring for me. It's not like, oh, that looks like, two different styles of movement that it doesn't make sense in a creature. It's just fluid. It's very much its own Godzilla while being Godzilla, and I love
alive.
Love it.
That's kind of what that's reiterating kind of what I said earlier, but it's a being that is alive, but it is nothing that we can really pinpoint. It's not a giant lizard. It's not a giant Komodo dragon. It's Godzilla. It's a creature of
mystical,
unfathomable. I don't know, concepts. I blank in there.
Yeah, it's super. It's Godzilla. I think that might just be the best way of saying it.
It's
It's just
Godzilla.
it's Godzilla. I look at that. It's like that Godzilla.
And the I will point out the music in that main trailer we got. So like the second one where we did get the line that monster will never forget us. Like we got kind
Oh,
of like a choral kind of type
hmm.
sound with Shin Godzilla with like persecution of the masses and who will know with
Hmm.
like very beautiful vocals on the tracks. But this is just all strings and it's just despair, it's depressing, it's
Hmm.
harrowing. It's like a tragedy.
Yeah, it's the music really fits the movie. It's I I could sum up this whole stream for myself. Just it's really exciting. It everything works for me. Every switch that I have that would turn me on or off to this movie, this piece of art, literature, all of it's flicked up. I'm so excited for -1. The music, if it comes over to the US iTunes, hopefully it does, because Shin Ultraman hasn't yet. I need that full version of Early Day Tokyo. I if the soundtrack continues or if it goes unexpectedly in a different way, how we have it so far from what we've heard, I think I could spin that music like I do Shin Godzilla. Shin Godzilla is the only um, modern piece of art that I can just sit down and listen to. Like I can go back and listen to the best of Showa and Heisei, but like Shin, I could put it on all the way through, all the way through, front to back, and I could do it over and over and over again.
Yeah, it's. I mean, I'm kind of an easy guy to please when it's Godzilla.
Hmm.
If you just give me Godzilla, I'm pretty much a happy guy. um, but this I do truly feel like this is going to be something special. I will
Hmm.
point out, like we discussed privately, that this is a wide release for those of you guys that do not know yet. This is not a Fathom Events. It's not a one night only like Shin Godzilla was. This is a wide release. This movie is playing everywhere on every screen Toho can get their hands on, which is a never heard of before. I mean,
Yep.
Godzilla 2000, I think, but I was too young for that, so
Yep.
that might have been that.
Yep.
But
And then it did really bad.
I mean, even then, like
Yep.
20 plus years later, we finally get that.
Yeah, it's not taking a full year like the rest of the Millennium series. Why
That's what I
half the
remember growing
tags,
up.
half the tags have 1 year later on them because most of them released at the very end of December, but then also nowhere else got it till the next year after. So it's easier to kind of
Yep.
broadcast it.
We're getting it
But
a month after Japan. That is crazy.
and not only us, as just announced today, Germany, this could be a whole world thing. And they said more is getting announced, and it's still December 1st. It's not
Mm-hmm.
like it's Japan November 3rd, US the 1st, and then these other countries get in January.
Mm-hmm.
They're all announcing it for January or
They
December
just
1st.
they just announced. I know they've announced Canada. I know
Yep.
they've announced the UK, and then like
Yep.
last week they announced New Zealand and Australia.
Yep.
It's like, oh my goodness, like they're really going for it with this movie, man.
Yep. It's exciting. Toho is actually doing pretty good on promoting this movie.
Yeah,
Absolutely,
and
absolutely doing really good.
it's gonna be. I mean, kind of it's all speculation from this point onward when I add say how it'll do, but people like monsters, people know who Godzilla is, and people like Japanese stuff, man. Like the Demon Slayer movie did bank, man. It did pretty well here.
Scary good. It did really good. And then, another Dragon Ball Z Battle of Gods just got re-released for its 10th anniversary, which I missed out on
I remember that
again.
came out, and it was like a
Yep.
big deal.
It did good. And then I don't think official numbers have released yet, or maybe they did and they passed by it. But I told our big theater that had it, it was packed. I was told it was very, very packed on at least the first day.
I live in Salt Lake City, Utah, and my screenings for Godzilla for the Fathom events are full. They sell out. Yep. So I can't imagine how opening weekend for -1 will be here. Like there's a good amount of monster kids here.
And in IMAX. I think I think a lot of the fandom is real. They're excited about IMAX. You know, I'm excited about IMAX, but I think a lot of us don't really understand what that means for the movie. Because like Japan is now getting 4Ks.
Yep.
We do not have any we don't even have Shin on 4K. But the fact that -1 is coming out on IMAX tells me that not only is the theatrical release going to be good with a possible second run, because Jacob, we talked about this, the movie is only appearing subbed.
Yep.
There's no dub, which means if a dub happens, there's a possibility it might get a small middle of the week re-release with the dub, which is good for the numbers. It's good for us. But I think the physical release is also going to come quick. I think this might be the first Japanese movie the US gets get a 4K release, which for me personally, I want 4K. I want to see it as nice as I can all the time. Mm-hmm. So for me, that's a really, really big deal. But I think some people don't give the IMAX situation gravity because a lot of theaters only have one IMAX in it.
Here's another thing.
Yeah.
A lot of people confuse IMAX screens with like real IMAX theaters. So I'm a little interested in what that means. I'm thinking it just means IMAX screens will just play it in like the 4D, XD stuff that the theaters do.
Yeah, that's what mine has. Mine has like a hybrid of both. It's almost got the screen, mm-hmm. but then it's got like the extra stuff, like the tickets are $20-$30.
So yeah, I'm not sure if it's like the legit IMAX theaters will play it in true like super IMAX. Mm-hmm. But they didn't film the movie with like the IMAX cameras and stuff like that, to my knowledge. I mean, if they did, that's incredible and that's super dope. But from my understanding, they haven't announced it. That'd be cool, but so I'm thinking it's like the screen thing.
Yeah, which makes sense. I guess what we could do is when it comes out, look at what it plays in Japan, because Japan takes their theater scene pretty highly. I would understand, especially like the higher end, like the IMAX stuff. Like I've seen photos of those theaters and they seem pretty pimped out.
Nice.
So I guess we'll see when the movie comes out for Japan what the IMAX release over there will look like, and then we won't have a for sure, but we'll have a good starting point at what specifically IMAX would look like in the US.
Yeah. I'm also as with the turnaround of the movie. I mean, we talked about this before we recorded. I'm curious about the turnaround on the merchandise. Because we already got the SH Monster Arts like pre-orders open. It's ready to rock
next month.
Where are you at, X Plus? Like.
Yep, X Plus, Marmot, if they decide to bless us with a new Godzilla mold.
There's a lot of intrigue around Godzilla Day because supposedly there's some announcements coming.
They
probably licenses and brands or something like that.
The fact that we have a store now, so the store kind of gives us translated official posts from Toho. The fact that the Godzilla store and the US Godzilla site, I guess it would more be global for the site, but US for the store, gave us a printout for what you need to do on Godzilla Day, kind of tells me something big's happening. Besides, -1, which that's kind of crazy to think about, that there might be something even bigger than -1. That's not the new Empire. It's not going to be that, I don't think. Not because it's a bad. I love Legendary Godzilla, but I just don't think Godzilla Day in Japan is going to be celebrating the American Godzilla. But you never know. Maybe a new theme park.
Godzilla Land.
Yeah, give us a children's land, rebuild.
Children's Park.
Just use the actual Godzilla kaiju. That would be cool. And it would be in Japan, but well, I don't think it's a good thing to probably say another thing to do in Japan because it takes a month to really do what you want to do in Japan. So, in a
what were you saying about like instructions for Godzilla Day? I kind of missed that.
Yeah, so the Godzilla store posted an image saying, "Here's what to do on Godzilla Day," and it gave the schedule for the Japanese live streams and explained like things that are kind of going on. And they also teased some things being announced. Now we do know now, as of yesterday, that the -1 tickets for the U.S. and probably the other countries that it's playing in, those tickets haven't gone on sale yet, but they will on the 3rd, which got boasted because the app I use for my movie theater, Cinemark, actually now has -1 as a listing. No tickets available, but they actually do have the listing for it. So that could be it because it's kind of a global thing. But
hey, go buy your tickets now.
Yeah, I mean, it's a big thing too because that's when we're going to really start to see the Japanese critics and the fans as well. The Rotten Tomato situation, though, I don't know about you, Jacob. I don't always like to use Rotten Tomatoes because sometimes, there's a little naughty things happen behind the scenes, But it's going to be interesting to see what Japan says about the movie. I think you're right, Jacob. We got something really special. I really think Toho knows it's as good as it probably is, if not better. And I think they're really, really they're banking on it. I think they are.
I don't remember where I heard this, so if I'm quoting somebody and I'm not crediting them properly, I apologize. Someone said something I was reading this past weekend where pretty much the way they broke it down was that Toho makes Godzilla for Japan and Legendary makes Godzilla for the world. I'm not sure if I'm in proper alignment with that now that -1 has this big global release, but maybe perhaps like the way the movie is conveyed, like a lot of Japanese Godzilla he's solo, he's destructive, he's the bad guy, he is a force of destruction, he is a natural disaster, whereas the Hollywood Godzilla is like the 70s Godzilla. He's a superhero. Here we go. And, you get the best of both worlds. It's cool that as a fan, you can get both of that.
Yeah.
But I just, this is also like the cinematography in this is very precise. It's very well shot. Even just the scene where they're firing a machine gun on a boat at Godzilla just looks interesting.
Yes.
I just, I mean, the shot that sticks out to me still is, the people clinging onto the side of a building as it falls off and they just fall to their deaths. Like, I don't think you're going to see that in a Legendary movie.
No, we won't see that in Legendary, which is fine. It's the nice thing about Japan doing traditional Godzillas that they tend to do very traditional things like that, like actually seeing people die. Because there's one scene in Shin that has it, and I remember people were making a big deal out of that scene because it's like you don't get this in the MonsterVerse. It's one of the things that I debate the MonsterVerse is really lacking on is really the impact of the kaiju globally and not just our cast. Like we get tips of it at the end of 14 and stuff, but in the MonsterVerse, to me at least, it doesn't feel as wrapped up as the little footage we have of -1. These people are going to be feeling Godzilla. It's obviously going to be a plot point to I mean, to say that Japan was at 0 and then is at -1 because of Godzilla, that's a big deal. That's a very reactionary story. You know, it's a very reactionary storytelling, and
Mm.
that's probably what our characters are going to be. Um, and even I think Godzilla a little bit, if that makes sense. That they're all going to be reacting on each other. There's going to be something that starts the whole plot off because you know it's a movie. Something has to start off, but I think everything to that is going to be reactionary to each other rather than you know something the starting point of it. Like how do I word that? Damn it. And my brain's gone. Um,
Oh, you're good.
okay, so like actually I did have it right and then I doubted myself. So Shin Godzilla is the starter of things. Nothing in the story um begins with like so yes, he gets polluted with nuclear waste and then he grows and evolves, but that wasn't done to him purposely. It's he kind of starts everything in the story, but I feel like something's going to make Godzilla start the story and something's going to make the hero start the story, which post-war, you know, it's probably something to do with the war, which I'm I was thinking about this at work today. I so something people say about the Japanese movie, going back to that point where Japan makes Godzilla for Japan and legendary as the world. The same thing, you know, could be flipped in this movie. I'm very interested to see how US people take a very a very Japan story again, especially where it's probably going to be our heroes are well, we know our cast is Japan reacting to it, and the U.S. is probably going to get involved. How is that going to react? I wonder how our U.S. audience, is going to sympathize and empathize with that. I guess
That is
is what I'm
interesting.
curious.
Yeah, and some of the like there was some of those weird promotional material things before the teaser
Hmm.
dropped where we got like 2 second snippets. In
Yep.
one of those, there was like something signed by Douglas MacArthur, and a couple friends and I were like, "Is
Oh,
MacArthur gonna jump in?" Like, because if you know anything about history, I'm gonna do a side note here.
yes. No, it could. This movie could have very
Douglas
well referenced it.
MacArthur wanted to jump into the Korean War and just nuke everybody. And they shot him down and were like, look what we just did to Japan. You are not going to nuke Korea. Stop.
Hmm.
That's how insane he wanted to just nuke everybody off the face of the earth that didn't want to get in line. Like, dude was a little crazy for a respected American general, you know?
Yeah,
So, if Godzilla shows up, is he going to want to do that?
that scene in the first trailer where there's a big boom boom in the city with Godzilla
That's all
could
just
be.
speculation.
Yep, that's just speculation. You know, that could be a plot point, you know,
Yeah, I see a
especially
lot of. No, I
oh,
see a lot of people say that they're nuking Godzilla in that scene, and I'm not entirely won over on that. I I don't know.
like I can see the speculation. Like there are scenes that look intertwined, like and then the way that bombs work with clouds and stuff. You
Yep.
could say a lot of the light scenes is before bomb goes off, and then the dark scenes like the last scene and the second to last trailer where Godzilla's face is burnt and it's still on fire because you see the red and he's uproaring. Could say that that's the change, and then there's some darker scenes before he gets into the water that looks cloudy. So you could say that's kind of all the plot point, but that's just hypothesis. So I could kind of see it, but
My first my first gut instinct and my first guess, honestly, was that it was a GMK scenario and his atomic breath was
mm,
causing it. But that's just a wild speculation. Like,
yeah,
there's no basis to it. That was just like my guttural first feeling. But
yeah.
I don't think we've seen his atomic breath in any of the trailers.
One small scene. Well, well, actually, now there's three or four now technically. So in the same main trailer where Godzilla ends up roaring at the sky, there's a scene of a boat bursting and you do see something stick out. It's a very, very cut scene.
I missed
That's not
that.
spoiling anything. You slow down the scene, it's there. So we do kind of see it, and then now with the newest teaser, we have seen
The
scenes of
tail.
Godzilla glowing, and then the tail. I think it's just Godzilla using the breath for the first time. I that's all I think it
I was like,
is.
I don't know, dude. That might be the Shin gimmick of this movie. It might not be. I don't know.
I thought it was crazy, but then I sat down and thought about it. I saw someone just speculating on Facebook, like, is that a switchblade? Is Godzilla gonna like pop it out and it's gonna be sharp and then he's gonna hit things with it? I was like, that's really fucking crazy. And then I sat down about it for a little bit. I was like, yeah, you know what? The monster arts will never be able to do that, but yeah, sure.
Yeah, it's not on the Monster Arts figure, so it can't be like this crazy ability unless they're just hiding it from the figure.
And I mean, not that not that a lot of companies ever marvel their own movie trailers. You don't know what Toho could be taking in or putting in the scenes either. I don't think they are. I think that's crazy. I think Marvel got in trouble for it, so people don't do it anymore. Because technically, you're advertising a movie that's not there.
Yeah, I think they got a little bit of flack for that with Infinity War, where they had the Hulk in the trailer and he just didn't even show up.
Yep. So I honestly I don't think Toho's doing that, but I do think Toho is doing something to it. Like, so this is just speculation. At the end of this newest trailer, the last shot is like big explosion and Godzilla up and he's like full on roaring at it, kind of like a legendary Godzilla. And there's just something about that scene. It looks cropped. I don't know. Which they could be doing it because at that point they also put the logo up. They put advertisements on it.
Could
So
be.
they shrink it. So maybe it just looks weird because it's smaller. And then they wanted their advertisements in there, which, props to them. It looks weird to
Hmm.
me personally, but we don't know. And that's all just speculation. But
Uh,
I'm excited.
yeah, I'm really excited. It's definitely cool. I'm all right with the fact that we are getting another standalone. We're getting
Yeah.
another complete reinvention, another complete reboot. I'm totally fine with them doing the Millennium series approach.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
interested to see if this is the jumping off point or if this is another Shin where it's just like, let's bring in a director, let's let him do his thing, and let's let him just give us his take. You know,
Yeah.
I'm
Which,
interested to see if that's the case.
and that's something I wanted to ask you is, but I'll say the first point. Hideaki Anno actually did. So I thought this was a rumor, and then I did a lot of digging the other day, and some translating of the artist in Godzilla. Hideaki Anno did have, well, an extended movie, but Toho needed to make money, so they said you have to make it happy. That's one of the things. But it did look like there was almost a Shin Godzilla 2 that he had started on, but then Ava happened. For part 4, the final part of Ava, for 3.0 plus 1.0, 4.0 plus 1.0. Uh, and then Toho also declined it. Something it kind of suggested was Hideaki Anno had to finish Ava because he finally kind of got in the mood, and then Toho also said no.
Huh.
So, but do you think this could be the start of something? Because Toho did say many years ago that they wanted to build their own overarching.
I keep hearing different things about that. Like
Yeah.
everyone quotes the World of Godzilla thing. And
Hmm.
from my understanding, the World of Godzilla promotion was that they wanted to do what they're doing now
Hmm.
and have their brand everywhere. You know, Godzilla shirts are a hot topic now. Super Seven's got the license. You got hot sauces. You got,
Soda.
and whatever. Yeah, soda. You got alcoholic energy drinks. You have just whatever.
Hmm.
Godzilla is
Yeah.
global. That's kind of.
Yeah.
I think that's closer to what I hear they were going for.
Yeah. Which honestly is kind of how I always perceived it. I never really thought of it as they want to build their Marvel cinematic universe. They just wanted to bring Godzilla to the global front when it comes to trademarks, and which now at this point by -1, I would pretty much say we're there.
We're there. This
Yeah,
is it.
1 month turnaround for a movie.
That's crazy.
But,
that is still crazy to me.
Yeah, wild. It is wild. But do you think there could be something after this?
There could be.
Could be like like a true In Blood sequel. Like this could start the monsterverse of Japanese Godzilla.
I could see it happening. There might have to be a tone switch unless you go with like a Gamera trilogy style of how people are impacted by monster rampages. But we've seen Takashi Yamazaki do battles in the theme park ride. Like that was, I was saying this long before it was announced he was directing Godzilla. Because at first it was Takashi Yamazaki's directing a monster movie for Toho. And I was like, it's Godzilla, dude. Come on.
Mm-hmm.
That was, I feel like that was his audition.
Yeah.
They're like, all right, okay. All right, that was pretty cool. Why don't you do the real thing?
There we are.
Yeah. But, I mean, the ride's cool. The battles are cool.
Yeah. I'd be fine.
It's the same director. I could see it. I just think there'd be a bit of a tone shift.
See, and that would be my thing is, you know, the one thing I will say about the premiere, overwhelmingly positive. People are suggesting it's a sad movie, which, you know, definitely for Japanese audiences, it's going to be. They're going to a very hard part in their history. It's going to be tough, but I think everyone's going to feel it. I think this movie is going to make it to where everyone feels that, which is a good thing. But that would be the thing. If it's going to go for this, you know, really specific theme, how do you follow that up, you know, without really changing it, which is going to turn off some of the fans from the first one to the next one.
Yeah.
But then how do you just keep building the despair in this universe that we haven't seen yet? We've seen our glimpses, but
I could see how it could be pulled off, but I don't think we've ever seen it before, which would be another cool thing. You would just take that Gamera trilogy approach and just neither of these creatures are inherently good, but they're going to fight each other in the middle of our city, and that's not good.
Yeah. Because I mean, we've already learned in the Godzilla history, 54 to 55, you know, big tone shift, and it didn't fit, and also it didn't help that 55 was super incredibly rushed. I think it's pretty big or known understanding it. Movie was rushed. So, but I guess do I want it to fit? I don't know. That's tough. I don't want everything doing Marvel, but I also know there's nothing wrong with making one sequel.
Yeah. Or trilogy or whatever they want to do.
Yeah.
I think the best, and this is a little off topic, I think the best thing they could do is kind of pull a Millennium series, but a little more extreme, like they already have.
Yeah.
Bring in a director, let him do his thing, and do another one, bring in another director. They could do Ono with Shin, Yamazaki with this movie, get the animated team that's making these Gigan and Megalon shorts to do a full length. Because those movies are crazy.
So I cannot wait for Megalon.
That Megalon design is fantastic and crazy and out there.
Last shot
exactly why animation is a thing. Like, just do a feature of that. Like, would that be cool?
That would I would take it. I would. I'll just take more Godzilla. I really don't care. I'll just take more Godzilla. I'm glad where we're at.
The only reason I went against the feature of that, I guess I just thought of this.
Mm-hmm.
is human characters haven't been done well in any kaiju animation, really. Like, people seem to not jive with them as much.
Yeah.
Um, Whereas in these shorts, no people. It's just Godzilla fighting a bunch of Gigants, you know?
And then fighting one bit, yeah, and the death ball, yeah, Requiem soundtrack, even though it really, in my opinion, is out of place in that scene.
It's
But I do get what they're doing, you know, the whole Godzilla Jr., you know,
yeah.
in the future, and then Requiem. I get it, but yeah,
Yeah. But
but
I don't know. I'm very excited for the future, and at least
yeah,
the next 5 to 10 years of Godzilla are gonna be astronomically crazy to me. It's gonna be ridiculous.
one more in that time, one more Godzilla movie after this one, I
You see
think.
one more?
Yeah, I think it makes sense. Like 6 to 8 years between movies. That's a lot of time to digest and like make a movie, which is why Shin and Minus One is looking to be are so good because they actually had time. It wasn't just, oh, Shin did
Mm-hmm.
well, boom, it has to be out by
It
the
wasn't,
next
yeah, it
calendar year.
wasn't the next December like Heisei and Millennium. It is really nice that they're taking their time
Yeah.
and making Godzilla's. I mean, even just for my personal life, I
Mhm.
graduated high school the year Shin Godzilla came out, and now we got minus one. I'm 25, and I'm not the same guy I was when Shin came out. So
No.
it's nice that we can have chapters of Godzilla now. I'll just call them chapters.
Yeah. No, that's perfect. I
You
agree.
know,
It's
and when the next Godzilla film comes out in 6 to 8 years, I'll be in my in my 30s.
I don't know if I
And
want to think about that.
right, but in terms of minus one, yeah, it's good. Not much to say without possibly diving into spoilers that we already haven't said. But
Yeah. And we'll
I'm really excited. I am day one. I'm opening night, the first screening I can access.
yeah.
If I had a passport and more money, I would be in Japan right now for the premiere. But I cannot do that.
Same.
Next time though, maybe.
Next time, yeah. Next time. It's an interesting future. I think it's looking bright so far. As a pre-nub, we can have this question and this thought again after the movie comes out, after we've reacted, seen how other people. I think that will be a great next discussion after the movies come out because I haven't decided fully how I'm doing it. I do know opening day, no matter what day that is, the 29th or the 30th or the 1st, I'm going to see it as many times as I can in a day. And I'm thinking about if my theater will letting me, like, while the next movie's like not playing, but there's no ads, doing just a short, like, recording in the theater while the movie's not on and while nothing's on before people get in and just live reacting to it the first time. I think would be
Just like,
really cool.
oh, that'd be cool. And then
Yeah,
like,
just like a quick open up, um, go on Facebook, go in the Collecto Monsters group, and just be like, I'm not talking about spoilers. These are just my first kind of like thoughts and reaction to the movie, and doing that. And then if I could see it again, do a sit down or two or three more times if I could get lucky, and then come home and actually record just a talk in front of the camera and just be like, all right, I've seen it two or three times. These are my thoughts, and then do a spoiler, non-spoiler, obviously, or figure out a way. I don't know if I want to do two videos, but
I like doing non-spoiler reviews. That's just how I personally roll. Like, I didn't
mm,
spoil anything when I reviewed Gamma Rebirth. I didn't spoil a thing.
mm,
I
yeah,
like talking about what it's all about without telling you a damn thing. Like, I
yeah.
think that's the best thing people can do.
And it's a good way of building hype when you're not telling people what's going on, and then you're. I feel like so how I see normal or not normal, but how YouTubers normally do it. The non-spoilers talking about the themes and the actual execution of the movie, where the spoiler is just actually recapping the movie in detail for people.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of where it's tough. But I could also do like the cut and just be like, hey, after 10 minutes of talking about it, non-spoiler, it's a 20-minute video. The last half is me talking about the spoilers and the actual discussion of just what happens for people who might not be able to check it out. Might do that. Might do two separate. Could just do a big live chat with the boys. Hopefully be able to get most of us on, or at least Jacob, so we can sit down after a month and change and re-talk about some of these ideas. Again, except now we'll know what's happening, where the pieces fall.
Yeah,
the drama.
And I'm a film guy, so breaking down movies is my bread and butter. So it's a hell of a lot easier to do that when you've seen the movie.
True. Maybe I could do two streams. I could do a reaction one, and then we can do one like that, where it's just like really breaking down like themes, plot, which characters are leading the story, which ones are just reacting, all that would be cool.
Yeah.
We might do 2 or 3 streams just talking about -1.
It's gonna be a big weekend. It's got Godzilla Day coming up. That's a big weekend. You got -1 Mania, I'll call it. It's gonna hit. People are gonna be. I guarantee you, the figures are gonna sell out. Yep. Everyone's gonna watch the movie and then go buy the figure.
Oh yeah, we're gonna get new product reveals. Hopefully. Yep. X Plus announce a gigantic
Cavity Colors already said they're doing -1 t-shirts. Like, they've openly just said that.
Yeah, they did it on their Shin Godzilla post. And I wonder, did they say if it would be out like right after the movie? Like, are they planning for December time, or
an announcement at least?
An announcement. Okay, so maybe they could do an end in November. Wow, they take normally 3 to 6 weeks for printing and delivery. So it'd have to be like now, unless they're just going to be like, here's the drop, it's available. We're going to try to get it to you before the premiere. And that's a lot of pressure. So I don't even think the Godzilla Day ones, I don't know if I'm actually going to get those before the movie premiere. They said they're supposed to be here before the US date.
Oh,
and I know they had yeah, they specifically said that's why they're called they were like first day, something doing with the date, because you're supposed to have them and go to the show in those is the the intention of that line of clothing, which is why it was only for a weekend. So I think they're trying to monitor it so they don't have to print so much, but I was suggested that those shirts, all of them did really, really well on their pre-orders for just a weekend. Supposedly they did really, really good. So that's good. I'm very excited. I've got 2 of them. So did you happen to get any of them?
Which ones?
The Godzilla Day, or the US Godzilla store exclusive -1 shirts. There was 4 of them.
Ooh. I didn't.
Yeah,
I missed out.
I'm sure they'll bring them back afterwards. This is just like the short. Want to have it for the movie so you can wear it at the movie and rep. I think that's what it is.
That's exactly what it is.
Yep, and then probably recolor. That would be my only thing, because that's what the store has been doing so far with Cavity Colors and everyone else. So
yeah,
but hopefully they get some of the Godzilla -1 merch. Just beside, I don't even think they have the Bandai up yet. They have Ride. I don't think they have the -1 Bandai up yet.
I don't think they do.
Yep.
I can't remember.
They're already kind of lagging behind a little bit. I'm just kidding. I think we'll get everything during the US release.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That'll be fair. It'll be that week. We'll start getting everything.
Hey, you've seen the movie. Come buy the merch.
Yep. I mean, that's how kids bought Transformers. That was me watching those. And that's going to be me during this movie. But I think that's about all we can really say, given the parameters
without
of the
spoiling anything.
Yep, without spoiling anything, or at least what is out there and not fully confirmed. But I think this will be a good place. We're an hour in. I'm getting a little rambly, so I can tell it's getting about my time to turn off the brain. But Jacob, thank you for coming on, being live with me, talking about it, dealing with my crazy jibber jabber. I really appreciate it, man. I so happy I could do this with you, dude.
Yeah, of course. Awesome. Thanks for letting me just hop on and talk about Godzilla, because that is Like, of course, man.
The
That's
whole
what we all
channel.
love.
That's all I want for the channel is just sit down, and if you want to talk about Godzilla on that day, just talk it. That's why I love these live
That's
streams.
rad.
So
And that's what I'm here for. I'm here to do that for the community. So that's
sweet.
the best.
More Jacob on the channel, more Kaiju
Yes.
United on the channel for sure in the future. I want to thank everyone. I've seen numbers been going through, not any comments, but that's okay. Might have some shy people, but I have seen the number go up and down and up and down. Thank you everyone for coming in on this surprise notice. I really do appreciate it. It's just fun sitting here talking about Godzilla with friends, dude. It's so much fun. So thank you guys for joining us on the ride. Haha, definitely not a pun. And we will see you guys on another stream or another video somewhere, some way. Otherwise, G-Fest next year, me and Jacob will be
We'll be there.
probably partying. We'll be there. So
thank you guys.
yep. Thank you guys. Bye-bye. Oop, I gotta go down here.